Alright, welcome back to part 2 of the bow stand setups. Before we get into the video, it's August 27th. I'm out here on the public in Wisconsin, where I seen that big buck last year. Second week of bow season. Got a big storm that just rolled in, so I gotta hurry up here. Going to check 2 other cameras. They're on kind of the west side of the public here. And this year it butts up to kind of some just standing CRP. And then that butts up against a big cornfield that wasn't planted last year, so I figure that most of the deer are gonna be on this side, coming to that corn. The other side had oats and already got cut, so we're a couple days away from September already. And as you'll hear in the end of this video, C&C's got a pretty big week coming up, so stay tuned to hear what big trip we got planned. We leave for that on Wednesday morning, so hopefully get some more footage for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Still gonna be hunting public in Michigan like I usually do. Just when I'm not on public, I'm gonna be hunting this private, as you'll see today in the video. So this spot's called the water hole stand. Just hung it this year. It's called that simply because we're right above a water hole, pretty much. It's a deep hole that's just natural and fills up with water pretty good in the spring, and then keeps water all the way till like end of November usually, unless it's really dry. Put a camera on it last year, had a lot of bucks, a lot of deer, a lot of bears using it throughout the summer and the fall. Stands right behind me. It's overlooking this 2-track about 15 yards, and there's a scrape that they've been hitting all summer about 25 yards just into the swamp here edge. But they come out of the swamp from the north. They run this road east to west, west to east, and the kill plot is about 150 yards that way. And they use this road pretty much all the way from the kill plot to here, and there's good bedding by the old camp right here. And then they're gonna come get a drink if they're thirsty, especially the bucks during the pre-rut when they're cruising. Eric picked this tree out. I kind of like it, I kind of don't. I don't want it. I don't really care for it right above the water hole. I kind of want it to be tucked in a little bit, but that tree you can shoot at the scrape and you can shoot at most of this road, so that's why he decided on that. I said we'll give it a try this year. If it doesn't work out, if we get winded or what have you, we'll move it next year. But it's a good spot. Access will be all right as long as we don't bump deer off the front plot. We may come in from the finger and come down the road, but I'm gonna take a look at that right now. Maybe clear a path to get in the stand quietly. But another good new spot for the year. I think be a pretty cool hunt if we can get a buck to come in here and maybe catch a drink, get a shot off. So that's the water hole, and on to the next one. Next spot on the list is a spot we call the buck bed. It's a ladder stand that's right in here about 50 yards. It's kind of on top of a ridge that looks down to a swamp, and we're right on the edge of the transition line pretty much. And access is alright. We walk the edge of this middle field and we just sneak right in this about 50 yards and then hop right in the stand. Leaving the blind isn't too bad either. We just hop out and we're right below the ridge on the backside already. So any deer that in front of the stand really only can see us for about maybe 5 steps as we're leaving. This is where Eric killed his nice 8 last year, first week of November. It was the first year the stand was put there. We had it deeper into the swamp. Decided to move it out of there so we don't jump all the deer out of the bedding and move it closer to the field edge here. So it worked out last year. It should be a good spot again this year. Haven't been back there since last November, so I'm gonna see if any trees are down, and we'll get in there right now. We're just off the edge of the swamp, probably 20 yards. And we got 2 to 3 big trails that come right at the stand and work their way out into the middle of the field. Last year the bucks were crossing those trails, working the edge of this, and Eric got a shot at one about 8 yards from the stand. So this is another good spot. Probably won't hunt this until closer to November again, unless the wind's good. This spot sets up good for a northwest, north wind, northeast, maybe a southwest. Another good access spot. Like I said, we just jump down, take a few steps, and you're below the ridge already, and walk out to the field. Next spot on the list is a spot we call Rocky Plot. This is the second year for this plot. It's in the back of the middle field on the property, kind of tucked in by these pines that are all around. And thought it'd be a good spot just because it's secluded a little bit. This is the second year food plot, like I said. The problem with this plot is there is 1 million rocks in this plot when we tilled it up. Last year we picked for like 6 hours and still wasn't enough. And then throughout the winter they must have came up come springtime and there was 1 million rocks again. So Jeff did a really good job though tilling, and it turned out better than I expected. So we got some growth on here, just not getting as much rain as it said, the radar said the last week. So it's only been 6 days, so we got some growth. This is more oats, wheat, rye, and some clover again. And same thing with this screen, didn't come in as well. Got eaten up a little bit on the tops. Yeah, gonna put a mock scrape like I did last year in the middle for about a 30-yard shot. We have a tree stand behind the camera, and then I'm gonna hang another stand on the opposite side right now, up in the pines over here. So we can hunt it with different winds, and I think that's a better setup. Can just kind of sneak through the middle of the field here where there's that thick stuff, and I think that's going to be a better setup because last year they were coming out across the plot and kind of working towards me, and they were kind of coming through that finger there. So yeah, this is a pretty decent spot as well. Can hunt this with an east wind, probably a northeast wind, maybe get away with a straight south. To the east we got swamp, drops down to a little creek bottom, small creek, probably dried up right now, and pretty good bedding all along there. And then through that is the back plot, about 200 and some yards, and then there's good bedding to the north here, and then there's just that big wide open field that we come through that's not planted with anything. So this is another kind of a fun spot to sit because you can see a lot, and usually I don't have a problem seeing any deer, whether it's in the field behind me or in the field behind the camera. So I'm gonna hang a stand here and we'll get back to you. Okay, we're in the field where we call it the pine tree field. A lot of like 15-20-year-old pines scattered throughout this field. That's why it got its name, the pine tree field. Tree stand behind me overlooking this field. If you watched my past deer videos, this is where I killed my buck in 2020. We do not plant this at all. This is all natural. We got a food plot 200 yards that way, and then we got the back field 300 yards that way. So this is kind of just a natural spot. We don't touch this stand until late October, early November. This is kind of a rut spot. Bucks come out here and chase does, and there's a big pine in the middle here that they scrape out underneath every year, and it's just kind of just a neutral spot for all the bucks that check this area, and they kind of meet at that scrape. And then this year I added a mock scrape that's within bow range, about 23 yards. They're already hitting that. Put that up about 2 weeks ago, and yeah, this spot we hung to back in 2019, probably early November, because we were sitting on the opposite side and bucks kept coming out on this side. And on that side it was just kind of a swirling wind. We're kind of in a pocket over there, so we decided to come over here, hang stand. Didn't shoot anything that year, but saw a lot of bucks. Had a couple of close Eric had a couple of close encounters. Then 2020 I killed mine. And last year we had a lot of action. I seen the biggest one on the property last year here across the field at about 3:30 in the afternoon. But this spot sets up really good for any north wind, straight north, northwest, northeast. Probably stay out here in the south wind just because it's blowing through the field back into the bedding. Got some really big trails that cross right in front of the stand before it enters the field that they use. They come out of the corner, they come out of the 2-track that comes off the neighbors, and they kind of just work this edge here that I'm standing on right now. No bait here again, so they're not really looking for you. Haven't really been spooking any deer. Access is alright. Do have to walk through one big field and then walk the edge of this field, but you jump right in. never really bumped too many deer during evening hunts walking in or morning hunts, because this isn't planted with anything. It's just kind of native grass. They do eat it quite a bit, but they're not in here all the time, so kind of just a funneling area for deer and kind of a fun sit when the action's hot. Pretty much everywhere you look, except for the south side of this field, is all bedding inside the woods, so sets up good for pre-rut action. Like I said, bucks push the does through here and it's a fun sit. So on to the next spot. So this is our most secluded plot on the property, most secluded spot really on the property. It's the farthest away from really any neighbors or anything, any access. Call it the back plot. Pretty simple name. Planted this on the, I want to say 7th of August. It was pretty dead. We decided to no-till it to try that. The seeds that were bigger aren't really coming up as good. There's a lot of forage radish coming up. Clover's looking good in most spots, but not the most happiest with this spot. This is where Eric shot his 8 last year. Came right up this right behind me. It's a good spot. Wind's a little iffy. You need something out of the east, northeast, southeast. Same thing with the screen back here. It got nibbled up by turkeys or deer. But there's some elevation change in the hill, kind of rolls. Access is pretty good. Come right up the 2-track, kind of hop into the tall grass, and got a lane that comes right below the stand that you climb right up, and you can see quite a bit. Got good bedding all around. This, like I said, behind me, it drops off right into a creek bottom, really steep, and that's all good bedding. Last year we had brassica back here and just got hammered way too early, so we decided to go with the rye and winter wheat back here this year after talking to John Comp at Northwoods Whitetail. Yeah, we're going to try this this year, and may turn this whole backfield into a plot next year if we got enough time. Hopefully this comes up at the no-till. It's definitely germinated, but we need some more rain. Thought we were going to get some today, but kind of held off. But yeah, this is the backfield plot. Pretty decent access, and definitely bucks back here. Well, that's going to do it for part 2 of this video. This is just a little something different I wanted to post, show kind of our setups here in UP, Michigan. I'm no expert at it, but seemed to be working the last couple of years, and we're getting better at it. Hunting the right winds are a big thing, and access is another big thing that, especially here in Michigan, if you pump a buck, it's pretty much over for that one. So, season's fast approaching. Really fast for CNC. We drew tags in Wyoming this year, so we'll be hunting September 1st, opening day in Wyoming, so that's exciting. We got cameras out in Wisconsin, public land, and so we got that going on. That's September 17th that it opens up, so we'll be hunting that. And then October 1st, Michigan, we'll be hunting that too. So busy fall. Hopefully we fill a lot of tags this year, and I can get a lot of good footage, whether that's just filming myself or filming other people. So I'm gonna head home, get this footage edited for you guys, and get a bite to eat. When you see this video, we'll be out in Wyoming chasing big bucks. Thanks for watching, guys. CNC.